Rockstar Games has a wonderful array of games that are all within the great gameplay elements and as well as immersive storytelling. Of course, if you're looking on the timeline of the most recent of Rockstar's games, we can notice that a big giant pattern emerges, and that is the death of a lot of great protagonists within these games. So the question is, what does this set to serve for GTA 6's protagonist? So most of you by now have heard that Jason and Lucia are based around a Bonnie and Clyde archetype. We can see that they're having their run-ins with the law as they evade the police in their robberies they've committed, such as petty store thefts, and taking on the more smaller types of robberies other than the big bank robberies. And within mirror comparison, they are like Bonnie and Clyde. They're on the run from the law. Unfortunately, Bonnie and Clyde would meet their demise as they was killed by a group of lawmen. Doing a breakdown of GTA 6's analysis trailer and looking at the Bonnie and Clyde situation, we can realize there is many big similarities between Jason and Lucia. Of course, that as well of Bonnie and Clyde, back in the day, had themselves somewhat of their own gang to assist them in their missions. You could say they were like the Robin Hood of the 1920s during the Great Depression, helping the poor. They mostly robbed small stores or rural funeral homes, but they also stole cars, horses, and guns from their victims. Bonnie and Clyde were portrayed as romantic heroes by the media and the public during their lifetime. They wrote poems and letters and songs about each other, about their love. They also gave interviews to newspapers and magazines, sometimes wearing disguises to avoid being recognized. But with this madly in love, crime spree-filled lifestyle, of course would come tragically to an end, because eventually the law would catch up with them, and both Bonnie and Clyde would die. It's also worth bringing to your attention, guys, the traits of both Bonnie and Clyde, to see how it's going to match both Lucia and, of course, Jason's character. Bonnie was more independent and adventurous than Clyde. She had a strong sense of self and did not depend on anyone for her happiness. She also enjoyed traveling and exploring new places with Clyde. She was more willing to take risks and challenges to authority than Clyde was, which is really cool to know, given on the fact that given on the trailer, we get the impression that Rockstar is trying to make that, of course, that Lucia is in the forefront of the relationship. She's risky, she's ballsy, she's the crazy archetype of a crazy woman. Clyde, however, was more impulsive and reckless than Bonnie. He acted on his emotions and did not think things through before he did them. He also had a temper that often got him into trouble with his gang members or the law. He was more prone to violence and aggression than Bonnie. Of course, Bonnie was more loyal and devoted to Clyde than he was to her. She loved him deeply and supported him through his troubles. She also forgave him for his mistakes and tried to help him change his ways. She was more forgiving and understanding than Clyde. If we sum up the relationship of Bonnie and Clyde, we can say that Bonnie had more control over herself, while Clyde had more control over their relationship in terms of money, power, and influence. However, this does not mean that they were happy or healthy together. Their relationship was full of conflicts, arguments, betrayals, separations, reconciliations, arrests, escapes, shootouts, deaths. They both suffer from mental health issues such as depression, paranoia, guilt, grief, and fear. Then long list of emotions. It is without no surprise that Rockstar will definitely tell along the lines of these great emotions that will play into our emotions on how we will feel about another great Rockstar title with its amazing storytelling as per usual. And yes guys, I'm not trying to jump the gun. We can't say something is great without it even actually being on our screens and playing it ourselves. But given on what Rockstar has given us so far, we can't be so disappointed. As some of you know, with the GTA 6 trailer, Tom Petty's A Long Road has now become back in the spotlight since the release of Rockstar's first trailer for GTA 6. The start of the song, the lyric starts off with a past tense kind of lyric, which says, "There was a girl I knew," possibly referring to Lucia, as speaking of her as she is no longer present within Jason's life anymore, or perhaps that she is no longer present within this world anymore. Perhaps this is a simplifying way to show that she has died, and this is Jason referring to her now in the past tense. This is a possibility. It's not to say that it's impossible. We don't know for certain yet what the story is, and we're yet to know, but of course that could be one equation to the theory. Or it could just be the simplicity of the fact that this is relating to the fact that Lucia is the girl that Jason knew. But being put into the past tense context makes it sound as if he's talking about her, that she is no longer present in his life. As if we're speaking in present tense, he would say, "There is a girl I know. She tried to make my world the way she thought it should be. The trailer shows that Lucy and her partner are embracing the life of crime, perhaps trying to counteract some unfairness in the world and rearrange their life. Of course, everyone will have their own take on the lyrics and what they mean. Whilst yes, the song may have a great deal of relevance between Lucia and Jason, they might not be as deep as what I'm analysing them to be or what any of us might think it is to be. But of course, one can think and one can put conclusions together that make this quite an interesting discovery. As of recent, in the last 4 titles that Rockstar have created, all the protagonists have died and met some tragic demise, such as John Marston having to partake his old former gang by eliminating them or capturing them for the government in exchange to have his family back, only to be killed in cold blood and deceitfully in order for the government agents to finally wrap up Dutch's gang.
Jack, let me help! What are you waiting for? Jump, Cole! Jump for it!
Things did not end well for Cole Phelps in L.A. Noire after having an illicit affair and finding redemption by helping to expose the Elysian Fields conspiracy, eventually culminating in the confrontation between himself and serial arsonist Ira Hookboom. Cole was swept away by a flooding sewer and died. With GTA 5 having a bit more of an optional approach on how the protagonists die by giving the player the option to decide if they wish to kill one of the other protagonists off. Will that be the case for GTA 6? Well, yet that still remains unknown, but it's a possibility that could still find its way into the new game. It's a bit of a revelation we can find within the recent last titles of Rockstar Games. Hopefully something that they will not continue to carry on, since the last 4 games they've made, mostly every protagonist has died.
Ha! No, I trusted you. I took you in. Treated you like family.
Trust?
Trust.
It's very likely, like within many of Rockstar's games, that we'll get a dialogue option to decide the narrative and the fate of how the characters in the story will go. Just like that within GTA 5, we can decide the fate of the very lives of the protagonists. Maybe that may be just the case as well within GTA 6, with the conflicting emotions between both Jason and Lucia. Perhaps we get to decide on both ends of the spectrum who we want alive and who we want dead, and perhaps how the ending may end as a whole. We get to decide the ending, especially like that of GTA 5. But it's something that I'm hoping that they're not going to repeat, because sometimes protagonists don't need killing off. Because with such loved characters like Arthur with his story of redemption to find out his true morality, you don't want to see these characters die off. You build a bit of a connection with them. When we look at most of the lifestyles that these protagonists lead, I suppose they're not supposed to be happy endings within these games for the most part. With the crimes and the bad actions they make, can only end badly. So, it's a question of time for when the game gets released that only will we know then exactly what the true fate of both Lucia and of course Jason's destiny lies. But of course, until then guys, if you can, hit that like button, and please, if you haven't subscribed yet and you watch my videos, please subscribe. It really helps the VoiceBox channel out. We need to get that algorithm moving, guys, so I can get my word out there, reach more of you guys, and bring you into this wonderful community that is the VoiceBox, and it wouldn't be possible without any of you. Anyway, enough bootlicking. Thank you for watching the video, guys. I'll see you soon.